I never thought I'd be sitting here writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 8 years now. We met through mutual friends, fell hard, got married, and for a while, things seemed pretty solid. She was always a bit of a bitch. I won't sugarcoat it, super snappy, quick to get defensive, and she loved to lie her way out of pretty much everything. But I overlooked it because I thought she loved me, and honestly, I was just happy to have someone. We had our routines. I worked long hours at the agricultural biotech lab, focusing on pest resistance genes, cutting-edge stuff. She was a graphic designer working from home, or so I thought. We had a decent life, a house, a dog, friends, the usual. But lately, I'd started noticing subtle shifts. She'd be more secretive with her phone, hiding texts, closing her laptop when I came around. She'd also get defensive whenever I casually asked about her day, sometimes snapping at me for no reason, saying I was too nosy. That should have been my first clue, honestly. One night after a long day at work, I decided to check her phone. I'd never done that before, but I was just curious, and I'd caught her lying about where she'd gone the day before. She said she was out with her sister, but her messages with some guy, Jason, didn't add up. The texts were flirty, and the way she called him babe in one of them. Yeah, that was a red flag. I saw her flirt with him openly, even sending pictures, and I felt this cold knot tightening in my stomach. It was like I'd been punched in the gut. But the real shocker came when I found the messages. She was talking about meeting up with him, planning to go out to dinner, maybe even more. I couldn't believe it. My wife, the woman I trusted, was cheating on me. I stared at her messages for what felt like hours, trying to process the betrayal. I wanted to scream, to throw something, but instead I just sat there feeling numb. My mind raced with questions. How long? How many times? Was she actually in love with this guy? And most of all, why? Why would she do this to me? That night I could sleep. I kept replaying everything in my head. Her words, her lies, the way she'd look at me sometimes like I was just an obstacle. I felt angry, betrayed, humiliated. And yet part of me was just devastated. I loved her, or at least I thought I did. But now, I wasn't sure what was real anymore. I kept wondering if I'd missed the signs, if I'd been blind to the way she'd been pulling away. All I knew was that I couldn't just pretend it hadn't happened. I had to confront her, but I didn't know how or when. The betrayal hit so hard I felt like I was losing my mind. The next morning I woke up with a pounding head and a stomach full of knots. I knew I couldn't avoid it any longer. I had to face her. So I sat her down in the living room, trying to keep my voice steady, although inside I was boiling with anger and confusion. I showed her the messages, laid everything out on the table. Her face twisted in that classic, caught, red-handed expression. But she quickly reverted to her usual bitchy attitude, trying to brush it off like it was nothing. "Mike, you're overreacting," she snapped, crossing her arms. "It's just some stupid flirtation. It doesn't mean anything. You're so paranoid sometimes." Her tone was dismissive, like she thought I was just blowing things out of proportion. But I wasn't buying it. I could see her eyes flickering, trying to hide something. I felt a surge of rage. How could she sit there and lie so easily? How could she pretend like that wasn't the biggest betrayal of my life? I pressed her about Jason, and she kept denying there was anything serious. She insisted they were just talking for fun, that he was just some guy she knew from her college days. Yeah, right. I saw her messages. Those weren't just friendly texts. They were full of lust, promises, plans to see each other behind my back. I wanted to scream, but I kept my calm, knowing that things could go south fast if I lost control. Instead, I told her I needed space, told her I'd been betrayed and that I needed to think about where we were headed. She didn't take it well. She called me jealous and accused me of snooping because I was insecure. That was her go-to move: blame me, make me feel like I was the one at fault. It made me sick. The woman I married, the woman I thought I knew, was just a liar and a cheat. And her reaction, it made it clear she had no remorse, no guilt, just anger that I'd caught her. She kept insisting she loved me, that it was just a mistake, that Jason was just a distraction. But I could see it, her eyes, her sneaky little smirks when she thought I wasn't looking. By midday, I was exhausted emotionally. I had everything laid out in front of me, and yet I felt like I was just starting to peel back the layers of her bullshit. I knew I had to decide what to do, but I wasn't ready yet. Part of me wanted to punch her, break something, scream at her face. The other part just wanted to crawl into a hole and forget everything I'd ever believed about us. I felt so betrayed, so stupid for trusting her, for thinking maybe she loved me. Turns out, she was just waiting for the right moment to throw it all away for. Some guy with a stupid name and no real future. I spent the rest of the day just packing around the house, trying to gather my thoughts. Every time I looked at her, I saw the lies, the sneers, the fake smiles she put on when she was pretending to be innocent. I decided I wouldn't confront her again that day. I needed to settle my mind, figure out my next move. One thing was clear, this wasn't just a fling. She'd been planning this for a while and I had been blind to it. The trust I had in her was shattered, and honestly I didn't know if I could ever get it back. But I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to let her keep lying to my face. Whatever happened next, I was going to make her explain herself, whether she liked it or not. By the time evening rolled around, I'd made up my mind. I wasn't going to let her brush this off as some harmless flirtation anymore. No, I wanted some real answers, and I wanted her to understand just how badly she'd screwed up. I waited until she was half drunk on wine, thinking she could spin her way out of it again. That's when I finally confronted her, calm on the surface, but inside I was burning. "Lisa," I started, voice low and steady. "I saw the messages, the ones with Jason. Don't lie to me anymore. Tell me what the hell is going on." Her eyes blinked rapidly, trying to dodge mine, but I wasn't letting up. I saw her bite her lip the way she always did when she was about to say something she knew was a lie. "It's nothing," she said finally, her tone defensive. "Just some stupid flirtation. It's not a big deal. You're overthinking everything as usual." I shook my head, feeling my blood boil. "Not a big deal. You're sneaking around behind my back, calling another guy babe, making plans to meet him. That's not a big deal. Are you serious right now?" Her snarky attitude came out in full force. "You're just jealous, Mike. Honestly, I don't know why you're acting like this. It's just sex and it's not even real. You're making it into some huge drama." That's when I saw it. The mask she was hiding behind was cracking. Her eyes flickered with a mix of anger and guilt, but mostly she was pissed that I was calling her out. "You're such a controlling bastard," she spat. "I can do what I want. You're not my boss, and I sure as hell don't owe you every part of my life." Her words hit me like a punch, and I felt a cold wave of disappointment. I had always thought she was the one, that she loved me, that she'd be loyal. But now, it was clear she had no regard for my feelings, only for herself. I told her I was done listening to her bullshit, that I needed her to leave the house for a while. "I can't be around you right now," I said, voice trembling slightly. "I need to think." She rolled her eyes, grabbing her purse and heading for the door. "Whatever, Mike, do what you want. You're just insecure and paranoid. Nothing's going to change." And then she was gone, leaving me standing there in the silence, feeling more lost than I ever had before. That night I sat alone in the dark, staring at the empty doorway she'd just walked out of. My mind was racing, anger, sadness, betrayal, all swirling together. I felt so stupid for trusting her, so angry she had lied to me for so long. But more than anything, I was scared, scared of losing everything we'd built, scared of what the future held now that I knew the truth. I kept asking myself, how could she do this? How could she pretend to love me, then go behind my back with some guy? And the worst part, I knew this wasn't just a one-time thing. No, she'd been hiding this for a while, all while pretending everything was fine. I didn't sleep that night. I kept replaying the things she said, the way she lied, the little smirk she gave when she was sneaking around. I kept asking myself if I was just naive, if I'd missed the signs, if I'd somehow deserved this. Every second I felt more betrayed, more broken. But even through all that, part of me refused to believe I was completely done with her. I still loved her somehow. Or maybe I just didn't want to let go. Either way, I knew I had to figure out what I was going to do next, because this wasn't just a fight, it was a war. The next day, I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was normal. I had to get some clarity, even if it meant digging deeper into her lies. I decided to go through her things again, maybe find some proof, or just get a better sense of how long she'd been playing me for a fool. I didn't tell her I was doing it. I figured I'd catch her off guard if she tried to hide anything else. While she was out running errands, I slipped into her closet, sifting through her purse, her drawers, her phone. I was determined to find some hard evidence, something concrete I could hold onto, and I did. Hidden behind a bunch of her makeup, I found a receipt from a hotel, one she hadn't told me about. It was for the night before, the same night I'd confronted her. That was when it hit me. She'd been planning this for a while, maybe even before I ever suspected. She hadn't just cheated, she'd been actively hiding it, scheming behind my back. My stomach sank. I felt like I'd been punched again, but this time it was deeper. It wasn't just a fling. She had lied, betrayed me, and now I had proof. I took a deep breath and just stared at the receipt. All those nights she'd claimed she was out with her sister, she was actually with Jason. I wondered how many other times she'd lied about her whereabouts. The thought made me sick. I decided I needed to confront her again. This time I was prepared. I called her, told her I knew about the hotel, about everything. Her voice was defensive, angry, and dismissive all at once. "Mike, that's none of your business. You're reading too much into it. Honestly, I was just trying to clear my head. You're so paranoid, it's pathetic." I could hear the fake concern in her voice, like she thought she was the victim here, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I told her I'd be over to pick up my stuff. This was over. I wasn't going to be played anymore. When she arrived home that evening, she looked pissed. She threw her purse down and started yelling at me, calling me overbearing, jealous, and pathetic. "You're so insecure," she spat. "You really think I was cheating on you? Grow up, Mike. You're just doing this because you're scared of losing me. Well, I'm not going anywhere no matter what you say." Her words stung, but I knew I couldn't let her manipulate me. I stayed calm and told her I was done. Done with the lies, the bullshit, the game she was playing. I packed up some of my things that night, feeling like I was walking out on a sinking ship. As I did, I kept thinking about how much I'd loved her, how I'd always believed in us. And yet here I was, realizing she'd been hiding a whole other life from me. I couldn't help but feel betrayed, but at the same time I knew I had to protect myself. I couldn't keep living in her lie anymore. The only thing I could do was walk away, even if it broke me inside. Somehow, I knew this was just the start of everything falling apart, but I also knew I couldn't stay and keep getting hurt. I needed a clean break for my own sanity. That night, after I'd packed my bags and set my plan into motion, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept racing over everything: the lies, the betrayal, the way she looked at me when she thought I wasn't paying attention. I kept thinking about all the times she'd lied, all the moments I'd missed, all the signs I'd ignored just because I wanted to believe she loved me. Now it felt like I'd been living in a nightmare and I couldn't wake up from it. The pain was sharp, but beneath that there was something else, this strange sense of relief. I knew I had to get out of this toxic situation, no matter how much it hurt. I sat in the dark, staring at the empty doorway, feeling like I was losing my mind. I replayed every conversation, every argument, every moment I'd trusted her and been betrayed. She called me insecure, jealous, stupid, tried to make me feel like I was the crazy one. But I saw through her now. Her bitchy attitude, her lies, her sneaky little smirks, they all added up to one thing. She didn't love me anymore, or maybe she never did. In the quiet darkness, I made a decision. I was done with her bullshit. I'd end this chapter, take control of my life again. I knew she'd try to guilt trip me, make me feel like I was overreacting, but I didn't care. I'd listened to her lies for long enough. I wanted out of this mess, and I was going to do it cleanly, without throwing punches or making a scene. I just wanted peace. The next morning, I told her I was going to stay at a friend's place for a few days, just to get some space. She argued, of course, calling me all kinds of names, accusing me of overreacting, saying I was just insecure and that I was making a huge deal out of nothing. It didn't matter what she said. I told her I needed time to think, that I wasn't going to let her manipulate me anymore. Her face twisted with anger and she spat. "You're just afraid I'll find someone better. That's why you're mad." That was the final straw. I saw her for what she was. A selfish, manipulative woman who was trying to hold on to her lies even as she knew she'd been caught. I grabbed my keys and left, feeling like I'd just escaped from a nightmare. I knew I'd probably get calls, texts, maybe even some tears. But honestly, I didn't care anymore. I had to regain some sense of control, some sense of dignity. As I drove away from that house, I felt a strange mixture of relief, heartbreak, and anger. I'd loved her, believed in us, but she'd thrown all that away for her own selfish needs. I could see now that I'd been blinded by love and hope. Looking back, I realize how much I learned from all this. Trust is fragile and betrayal cuts deep. I should have seen the warning signs, but I was too blinded by what I wanted to believe. If anything, this has taught me that I need to value myself more, to recognize when someone is using me, lying to me, taking me for granted. I don't regret loving her, but I do regret ignoring the red flags. Now, I'm trying to focus on healing, moving forward, and rebuilding my life, alone but stronger. Because if there's one thing I know for sure, I deserve better than this. Months have gone by since I left her, and honestly, it's been a roller coaster of emotions. Some days I wake up feeling like I'm finally getting my life back, like I've shed the weight of her lies. Other days, the pain hits me harder than I expected, thinking about all the moments I missed, all the times I trusted her when I shouldn't have. It's like I've been through a war and I'm still standing, battered but alive. I've learned a lot about myself in the process, and if I had to give anyone advice, it would be this: trust is fragile, but it's also a choice. And if someone consistently lies and manipulates, no matter how much you love them, it's better to walk away than to keep getting hurt. Looking back, I realize what her betrayal really exposed, how she used her charm, her lies, her bitchy attitude to keep me in a false sense of security. She thought she could cheat, lie, and get away with it because I was too trusting, too blinded by love. But I learned that the worst kind of betrayal isn't just the act itself. It's the way it makes you question everything you believed in. I thought I knew her, but I was just fooling myself. The woman I married was a master at hiding her true self behind a veneer of charm and bitchiness, and I was too blind to see it. Now I focus on rebuilding myself. I've cut out most of the toxic people in my life, started therapy, and honestly, I'm doing better. I still have bad days, that's inevitable, but they're fewer and farther between. I've become more cautious, more aware of red flags, and I refuse to settle for someone who doesn't respect me enough to be honest. I realize that true love isn't about blind trust. It's about mutual respect, honesty, and boundaries. And if someone crosses those boundaries repeatedly, they don't deserve a second chance. Most importantly, I've learned that revenge or anger doesn't fix anything. The only real victory in this kind of betrayal is reclaiming your own peace. I'm not bitter anymore. I'm just thankful I found out the truth before I went any further down a rabbit hole of lies. I don't hate her, I just see her for what she was. A woman who valued her own selfish needs over the person she was supposed to love. And I know that I deserve better. So, here I am, finally able to breathe again. I'm healing, I'm growing, and I'm taking every lesson I've learned from this nightmare to build a better future. Because no matter how much it hurts, I now understand that sometimes you have to walk away to find yourself again. And honestly, that's exactly what I needed.